Right, so I had a customer ask me to make them this with their name and their girlfriend's name on it. So I just found an image online. I say Control Shift Print Screen, then go into Corel Draw and say Control V, and I've pasted it. Now I'm going to use my crop tool, which is over here, and I'm just going to select the crop tool and just use the left mouse button, drag over it, let go, press the enter key. Now I have a photograph, and I know it's a photograph because if I try to use my node editing, you can see I only get the four corners of the photograph. So I need to turn it into a line drawing or vector drawing. Vectors are lines. And so I say trace bitmap, outline trace, detail logo. Trace bitmap, outline trace, detail logo. That's what I use all the time. And this did a really good job of it, but you'll notice that there's this white area here that's still going to be there, which is okay, but sometimes I like to just say, hey, I want to specify what to get rid of because it's removing the background automatically. I'm going to specify it. And by doing that, I get rid of any need to do any other operations after I get this. I'm just going to be left with the drawing of the black. And then I can also say, hey, delete the original image so that that one's gone and I just have the drawing when I'm done. And that's kind of helpful now. So you can tell already that I have a drawing because you can see all the nodes there. It might be easier if I turn off the fill. And again, to turn off the fill, I'm going to use my left mouse button, go to the top of the color bar, and just click, and that turns off the fill. And then use the right mouse button to turn on the line color, and I'm going to select the black line. So now I have the drawing displayed in a vector format. But you can see it's kind of gets really thin right in here, and I may want to fix that. And so one way to do it is just to come over here to your node editing tool, just grab this edge with your left mouse button and pull it in a little bit. And then maybe I'll grab these three nodes and just lift them up a little bit. See what that looks like. Maybe I need to pull this one down a little bit. It's just all, based on your eye. I might want to pull this one in just a little bit. And if I do that, I need to pull the opposite side a little bit so that it lines up with it. Maybe I can probably get away with pulling this one over and this one down a little bit. So you can see, you just kind of play it by ear and just do what you want. That's probably too much. I like that. It's still thick enough. Maybe right here I still don't like that. So I'll bring that one back over. And I'm pretty happy with how that came out. So it should work pretty good for what we're doing. You can even make this one thicker if you wanted to. He wants his name here and his girlfriend's name down here. So I think it's going to be all right. So we're going to just talk about the text editing tool now. So I have my drawing that I want to add text to. He wants his name here and his girlfriend's name here. His name is Steve. So I grab the text editing tool. I could change my font ahead of time. There's a, it's going to have a default selected. I think I want to use this Pacific one, but we'll see. And so I didn't have to do that. I could do it afterwards, but his name is Steve, and her name is Sam. So I can already tell that's not the right font that I wanted to use. But I don't know if I told you what I just did there. So I only want to do this once. So I just left click on Steve with the select tool, pull it over, and then right click and then let go. Now I've just made a copy. Then I just double click on it till it's highlighted everything, and then I can type in Sam, and then left click, and I'm back to having two different ones, but I can edit them both at the same time. So I select them all. I think it's called Pacifico, maybe Pacifico. Or maybe I don't have that font on here. Oh, let's see. I need to find a font that's going to work. So what you're really looking for is something that's cursive, a script font, but then you want it to be basically all the letters the same size. Makes it so much easier when you're doing this kind of thing. Let's see what I got here. Well, well, let's just try this one for sake of explanation. So now I want to make them the same size. So I'm by doing it this way, they're going to be probably in the same 64, 64. So I can make them that way. Now I have them all the same size. And I just selected them together by dragging a line over them and then pulled the corner until I got the size that I was looking for. So now I'm going back to my pick tool. I'm just clicking off of them, and then I'm going to one at a time take these to the places that I want to put them. And so it's probably not going to be the greatest example, but you'll get the idea anyways. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do Steve, and I'm going to put him on this curve. And so I go up to the top and say text, and then fit text to path. Now everywhere I try to point to, it's going to put Steve there. So I'm going to point to this one and just pull it over. You'll get that red line. It really isn't applicable here, but you'll get that red line when you have something perfectly centered on a circle. And so it's obviously not going to work correctly here on an oval. But if you had a circle that you were doing this on, let me just show you real quick. I'll just draw a circle. And I select the circle tool, press the left mouse button, start pulling, press control to keep it a circle. And then I'll just go get Sam, oops, I forgot to get off my circle tool. So go to the pointer, get Sam, I'll bring it over, I'll right click so that I'm making a copy. And then I'm just gonna make it a little bit bigger. And then I'm gonna say text, fit text to path. And then now you can see I'm on the circle, and I could be inside or outside, but when I got that red line, I know that that word is perfectly centered on that circle. So that's what that red line normally does for you. Here, it's not that super helpful. So again, you can come grab it now and you can move it back and forth however you wanted to. You can also, when you're messing around with text, you can come to your shape tool and see each one of these little dots. That controls each letter. So if I grab that letter and I pull it, you can see that I'm moving that S. If I grab the T, I can move it closer or further away. So that's called kerning, where you're controlling the space between the letters. I could grab the V and move it over a little bit. And so you can mess around with that. I don't think I can move it up and down without breaking that apart. So right now, that's not really a curve, that's actually text. And you want to keep it text as long as possible, especially if you're going to have edits. And I would say when you get to this point, before you go any further, you'll want to make a copy of everything that we do and save it so that if they say, oh, you got the spelling wrong, or oh, I wanted the word switch. If you keep going any further, then you're going to end up having to redo it all. Whereas this way, if you save what you're doing at this point, it's easier to undo than it is to start from scratch. Now this one's going to be a little bit different. Again, I'm going to go up to text and say fit text to path. But when I go here, well, it worked for me. A lot of times it'll put it on the bottom, though, when you go to a circle. So what you have to do there a lot of times is come over here to the A and B, and I just click both of them, and then that moves it back up to the top. So now they're on that line, and I'm going to back up a couple just because I wanted to show you that, but really I need to go to text, fit text to path, and pick the correct line. It did it the right way, and so I'm on there, and you can see I'm really not getting that red. I get it way out here because it's probably measuring that whole length of the line that I'm on. So you get it where you think it belongs, and then you click. Okay, so now you have your text aligned to it, but how do you merge them together? Well, and I'm going to just try something here. You could just select Sam, select this, and say weld. No, it's not going to let me. So you're going to have to break the curve apart. So, or convert this to convert the lettering to curves. So now it's no longer going to be an editable. And so like I said, you might want to just take this whole thing, grab it, right click, let go. Oh, it doesn't let you keep the words, so you're going to have to grab them each individually. It's not going to work that way. So anyways, undo key is always your friend. Text is so tricky, so I guess I really needed to, before I mapped them or fit them, I should have done that, made my copy. So I'm just going to press forward to show you how to do it. So I'm going to convert this to curves. I'm converting the text to curves. Same way here. I'm just clicking on it till you'll see, well, the first time I click on it, I get the whole thing. The second time I click on it, I get the word. Then I right click and say convert to curves. So now it's a curve, and I can select that and select the whole thing, and then the weld one shows up. And so when I weld it, it welds it into place. Same way here, I can select that, select this, go up here to weld, select that, and it welds it into place. Now that may not be exactly what you're looking for, but you just play around with it and figure it out. So that's one way to do text. I do want to show you a couple other things with text. So a lot of times you're going to be putting maybe say text on the bottom of this, and you really need the letters to not fall out. So let's say we're going to put navy, but we're going to put that in an Arial font. And we're going to want to make it bigger. And then we're going to put it text, fit text to path, and then point to the path that we want. And see, here's where it puts it on the bottom, but I want it inside. So I'm going to go to these alphabets things up here. I'm going to go to left and right, and then that puts it inside. Then I can pull it further inside. I can go to my node editing tool, and I could grab this handle to move the letters further apart. Is that if I were to cut this out, like the N, the V, and the Y would all be good, but the A, I would lose that part right there in the middle because it would just get cut free. So I would just see a big black thing where that center part of the A is. So I need to turn it into kind of a stencil. And to do that, you're going to have to say convert this to curves. And then you're going to have to say break curves apart. And then that's what it would look like had I not done what I'm about to do. But then you got to select that and say combine. And so now it brought that piece back. And then now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw, and I normally do 1/10 wide, but in this case, I'm working really small. So just know I would normally make this 1/10 inch wide. So by putting it 1/10 inch, I guess we'll just do it just to show you. And then what I would do is I would bring this part up and put it right there. And then I'm going to have to watch this close. I'm going to click on it. And now I'm in the rotation mode. But instead of rotating it right away, I'm going to come grab that center point, and I'm going to move that center point to right there. And then when I grab this to rotate it, it's going to keep that point right where it is, and then I can rotate it there. And now when I come back to my pick tool and click off of it, I can click that one. I can click the A. And the one that we want to select here is the back minus the front. So the back is the A, the front is that rectangle that we drew. And when we click that, boom, we get the stencil. And now the A wouldn't fall apart. Now again, I would like that A to have been a lot bigger so it wouldn't look so goofy. But I was just showing you how to do the turning text to a stencil. So that's the simplest way. Again, you draw yourself a 1/10 width rectangle, and if it gets too small for you, make it taller. And you could have, let's just say we had RPO, and I'm going to put that in an Arial font, make it big so that this works. And then I'm going to make this a little bit taller. And then what I do is I would just bring this in and I would grab right here at the midpoint and I'd put it right there. And then I'd grab it. Oops. I would grab this one. Move it over here. And again, right mouse click. Then I can grab it and put it right. Grab it, move it over here. Right mouse click, making a copy. And then I should be able to find the center of the, well, I can't yet. So now I need to turn this RPO into curves. So again, right click, convert to curves. And then now I should be able to grab this one and find the center. I might have to break the curves apart. And then come in here and say combine, oops. I need to just select the O, not the rectangle. Right click and say combine. Just select the P, not the rectangle. Right click and say combine. Do the same with the R. Again, not the rectangle. Right click and say combine. Now when I try to move this piece here, I should be able to find the center. See how it snapped to that center of the O, and I just visually align those two. And so then I should be able to select them all and then come up here, and again, it's back minus front. Oh, I guess not. I lied. So we'll just do one at a time. We'll do back minus front on that one. Then we'll do back minus front on that one. And then do back minus front on that one. Oops. I must have had something goofy there. Let's see what's going on. I'm just going to say Control X, which cuts, Control V, which pastes, and then I'm going to select that and then say back minus front. There we go. I think maybe I didn't have it all selected. So that's how to do some more text work, and then you could put. Now you wouldn't want to do this until you've already aligned it, fit text to curve, because now this is no longer text. So I can't go to text tool and say fit text to path because it is individual letters at this point. So the only way I can control them is individually. I could come in here, click on them once, and then now I'm in the rotation tool, and so I could rotate each one if I wanted to try and make it, maybe make it look like it was on a circle. I could maybe do something like that, but you can see how much harder it is. So you'd be better off mapping or fitting the text to the path first and then doing your edits with it afterwards. You can see why you really want your customer to be happy with it before you go through the whole process of doing all these edits and then find out, oh, they want it worded differently or something like that. So, all right, I think Mike was asking me about just making tabs. So say we wanted this, let me see if I can get rid of that Sam and get rid of the Navy. Maybe, all right. So say we just have a circle and we wanted to create a hanger for it. And I'm gonna make it a lot bigger just for the purposes of demonstration here. So we want to make a hanger that comes off the top of this. So you might just say, oh, let's just make a square hanger that's, I don't know, maybe an inch wide. And you might make it an inch and a half tall. So, and I had my constraints aspects on, so I need to go back and make that an inch tall. Now I can lock it back again. So what I like to do is kind of keep it down, because what we're going to do here is maybe put a circle in this. Again, I'm pressing shift and control so that I'm drawing kind of from the center, even though it's not centered. And so maybe that's the one piece I'm going to do. And then I might select that whole thing and just say centered to make sure that they're perfectly centered left to right. And then I might come here and then draw a rectangle coming down, because this is going to be kind of a keyhole hanger. And I don't know, 1/10 of an inch is probably okay on that. It just depends on, you know, what size screw you think is going to go in there. And then I grab that corner and I pull it with the shape tool. And so see how that made it kind of rounded over? And so that's kind of nice. And so then I grab those two together, and then I'm going to weld them. And when I do that, now I have kind of a place, and it doesn't make sense right now, but this is going to flip down. And so that you'll put it on the screw, and then it'll lower onto the screw. And so what you need is another line, and we're going to use the line drawing tool, just a 2-point line here. And we know it's an inch, so I'm just going to draw a 1/2 inch line. And I can just do that by coming up here and putting 0.5. So now I have a 1/2 inch line, and then I can, oops, I'm going to press undo. Then I can select everything, and again, press C, which centers everything left to right. So now that's going to give me, let's see if I can lower it down a little bit. That's going to give me a natural bend, a place that I can bend. So I'm going to basically have a 1/4 inch here and a 1/4 inch here, which is about the most I'd want to leave. And you could leave less, but you'll mess around with that and figure out what works for you. And then I'll probably just grab it and pull it down, and then make a right click. And that way I have one there too, and you'll see why in a second. Again, I'm going to center everything. And the last thing I want to do before I kind of turn this into that hanger is I'm going to grab the shape tool, and I'm going to come to the corner, and I'm going to make them round. That way we don't have any sharp edges. And then I'm going to come here to my circle, and I'm just going to grab the whole thing and say center with the C. And that makes me perfectly centered at the top. So now I'm just going to grab this one and the big circle. So using, let's see, what did I do? I use left click to grab that one. Then I press the shift key so I can select multiple things. And then I select the circle. And then I'm just going to use the weld command. And so now I've welded it, and I have my two cuts here that will allow me to bend here and bend there to have a hanger on the back of my piece of art. So there's any questions, give me a holler.